guerrilla cold open.
Yeah, you know, it's this is the open before the open. So we are officially live streaming. We are on. If
This is
anyone
like
cares to
when
watch.
It's a
I
Yellowknife
saw
folder.
Titus once, and they teched all of the fight scenes out on the stage before the play started. And it's a bit like, I mean, it's Titus. It's like, oh, all right, I haven't read this in a while, but now I remember everything. Thank you. Okay, and that's the order that they're going to die in. Great. This is a great choice.
Weird. Was it like a professional production?
Yeah.
Weird.
And one of them did that thing. What's that like movement technique where like someone's lying on the ground with their knees up, and then they put their hand in front of their face like this, and like they roll out. One of them was doing that. And
that's all that Alexander stuff coming out of Simmons.
Yeah, Alexander technique.
Was this in an indoor theater?
This was in Hyde Park.
Oh yeah. I was about to say, because I was like, we had to do our fights in front of the audience. Well, the early audience when I did Hyde Park this summer too. Yeah, this past summer.
Yeah.
Were you Prospera? Or were you Prospera?
No, we did Midsummer, so I was Titania.
You did Midsummer. Titania. Okay. Another goddess. Thank you very much. Okay. So yeah, what questions do we have about our level up? I was going through everything with Louisa. I think Alberta at this point is a babe in the woods, but she'll figure it out. Ooh, I called her a babe.
Last time. She leveled up then, but she played last time.
Claire did not level up until this week, and then she missed one aspect of it. But you know, that's fine. Let me shift your sheet for you there, Elric. Take a look now. I think I might have shifted it the right way.
Yeah, it's only when you do the pop up or pop out. It doesn't pop out properly. It pops out and then it doesn't allow you to scale it, or it doesn't allow you to scroll side to side or up and down. So I'm just gonna have to keep it popped in.
Okay. Let me just see if I can change anything
At
on
the
my
end of the
pop
world.
out.
It's not the end of the world. It just makes my playing space a little cramped, but it's fine. It's really fine.
Okay. Cool. Harold, I think we need to adjust your hit point max. So you should be higher than 48. Is that right? Strong silent type.
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. What would be your hit points then? Because it's going to be plus your Constitution modifier, I think, right? Would be as a rogue. Is it like 5 plus your Con modifier, or 1d8?
Yeah, I'm just checking, and then I'll edit it. Okay.
Cool. Oh yeah, you can edit it on your own side.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm gonna do one last check here. I want to see if I can get
5 plus.
Boy.
Yo.
You have a second.
Yeah, man.
My sheet looks fine. The level up looks good. But before narratively we go to bed and Legion goes through their new metamorphosis, in like that 2-hour gap that we would have had before the long rest, I want to spend like the 2 hours really studying the Legion construct while it's still sort of defunct and non-operational, and I want to like try to cross-reference it with my notes in my spell book, and I want to like try to figure it out before we go to bed for the sort of dream processing of a level up.
Okay, cool. That's actually on my list of what to do right after previously on.
Cool.
Perfect. If there's no other questions mechanically, who wants to volunteer to give a little previously on? I'm getting some background noise from you, Keen, I think.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, it sounded like a CB radio in the old days. Honestly, cannot hardly remember what was previously on. To be honest with you, that sounds.
Because it was like 2 weeks ago now, right?
Yeah.
I believe that in a panic, after watching Bubo be taken from all of us, we built a sled out of your armor to carry Legion. We pinged our base camp to ask like a group of outriders to come and try to like link up with us because we were really too damaged to deal with another combat. And we kind of hard pressed. I fell into a ditch, I believe, twice. Somebody did Harold fall into
Harold
the ditch
also
as
fell
well.
into a ditch.
Yeah, Harold
Yeah.
also fell into a. But we ended up meeting.
On you are Legion, our heroes, battered and singed by the dragon army, collected themselves and made a desperate trek back to the safety of their military that they haven't ever used, but it's there if they want it. Ulrich dragged Legion on a sled made of his own armor. Harold fell into a crevasse. Other
Dad
things
fell
happened
into
that were
another
great
crevasse.
too. Yeah, into another crevasse.
Arlie
was
ended up
revealed-
picking wildflowers and making a tea to calm everyone down because they're getting a bit stressed out on the road.
They did great work, even as everyone else in the party failed. But then they got back to safety. Aelric had some choice words for Thad regarding his propensity to behave like a spoiled snob. And otherwise, we're fine. Oh, and Legion still hasn't woken up, and the Dragon Army may be approaching sooner than our characters expect. Will they survive another day? Find out
This week,
on You Are Legion.
welcome to the weekly D&D game where the audience gets to join in and be the voices inside the head of one of our party members, because in this game, you are Legion. My name is Nicholas Coy Santillo. I'm going to be your game master today, and I'm joined by our fantabulos players. Alberta Johnson, who is playing as Juniper the other Arlie, Candlewick III, and her totally normal, not at all the pivot point around which all possible realities turn, Cat. Michael Keane as Harold Gray, no relation to his rodent companion Squeak Noir, though both share a delight to right the wrongs done by fat cats everywhere. Sam Gilroy as Thad Deus, the born-again wizard of the Arcane Towers and current ruler of the port city of Kalaman. It's a long story best left for another time. And Sean Boyd as Aelric Tiamaticus, recently granted the title of Duke of the Hinterlands and the last true Dragonborn. And welcome most triumphantly our special guest this week, Louisa Zhu, who will be playing the ancient Warforged construct Legion with all of you in the chat. This is not her first time playing a robot. Oh. Amazing. Let's drop a beat. Reggaeton. Welcome, Louisa. We just did a little bit of what happened last session. So we are going to jump into what happens the night before our initial scene, which was just being talked about. Thad, you are looking over this inanimate Legion construct over the night. You're going to spend a couple hours doing this before you give yourself the full rest. So what exactly are you wanting to go for? What are we doing here?
I want to, like, I'm remembering now that I've died, like, all of the stuff that wasn't important to me in my year at the tower is sort of, like, coming, like, I have total recall of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested in the transmutational properties of, like, the Legion construct itself, how it seems to contain all of these desperate and different forms whenever, like, a god appears. And so I just want to kind of like inspect it and flip through my spell book, which I've always thought of like also as like all of the it's both your notebook and your spell book at the same. So I just want to like go and see what I might have picked up and just sort of as part of this leveling up process, sort of study the Legion construct more in depth.
Okay, so give me a Arcana roll, and while you get that dice roll, I was totally thrown by that reggaeton foghorn dance hall horn. Sean points out very well. I didn't finish my thought on Louisa's previous robot experience. Louisa's played a robot before. I think this might be a little bit more of a mature version of a robotic construct than she played before. What were you doing before, Louisa?
I was a lead on a show called Transformers BotBots on Netflix. I played a little tiny robot bonsai tree.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay, so this is Legion aspect of the bonsai tree this week. So Thad, rolling an Arcana check, you succeed with a 25. Tell me, what are you at? Like, so you're trying to check out some stuff, but what are you kind of? I need to clarify and actually pay attention now.
I want to know what I can. It's clearly shut off now, but I want to know how the currents of magic move through the system in order to do things to the material body of the construct.
Cool. Okay, with a 25, I have to ask here, Harold, did you relay what Legion said before Legion shut down to anyone?
No, there hasn't been time.
Okay. So, Thad, what you are able to discern from examining, doing a kind of arcane investigation of the Legion construct is that it is made of a metal-like material. This is either imbued deeply with magic or like an inherently magical material. It is obviously covered with these eternity crystals, which you've recently created one empty one yourselves, which was a multi-month side plot. And what you can see is that there does seem to be, you can discern that there is a independent power source in the construct. And that power source seems to be working and connected to all of these different crystals. The crystals themselves, if you were to kind of like a Geiger counter them, they're like off the chart. If you've ever seen, Chernobyl, when they bring the Geiger counter and they're like, oh, like 50 to 70 is pretty bad. And like, this is 30,000. That's kind of what these crystals are like. They're each one of them containing their own deity. And like they're called eternity crystals because they contain eternities, because a deity itself is eternal. But the way that the power source is connected inside the core of Legion's abdomen, it's connecting to all of them, but it's also allowing all of them to connect to each other. With a 25, I can say that what it's doing is it's using its power source is a kind of like a arcane fusion reactor. It is going to survive for a long time with a huge amount of power, but it is nothing really compared to any one of these if harnessed. What it's doing is it's using power from each one to connect to others in a very specific way. Now that would take a lot of work to discern and probably a very complex schematic. But with a 25, it's something that you can pick up on is that you can clearly see that like one is being balanced in some sort of way by another or by multiple other ones, which kind of explains why everything started when Takesis's crystal was removed. The removal of that crystal meant that the equilibrium between all of these fell out of balance. What is happening now in this inert state is that the core power of the Legion construct itself is working at maximum capacity to try to kind of be balanced, like to be creating a balance of its own to counteract the loss. of the actually there's because there are now 2 gods we've lost, right? We've lost Selûne, who we lost in the Fey realms. She she shattered out of the nipple crystals that were her, and then got pulled into the Far realm, I believe, before that portal was collapsed. And Takesis, that was torn from the Legion's face. So what is happening right now is that all of the power, it's kind of like in Star Trek when you kind of say like conserve power from life support from all this stuff. All of the power that would normally be going to sentience, to locomotion, to all the things that Legion does to walk around is being rerouted directly to these internal connections between crystals.
Okay. That is all very interesting. I sort of start to
25.
synthesize.
Gotta honor the 25.
Yeah. Like I start to synthesize, like especially that network, that balancing network, and I just sort of, as I wander off into the evening to go to bed, I sort of start to think about just sort of like how I can extrapolate that to general sort of theories of magic, and like in general, like in sort of like a grander, more meta magic way. And I also do try to find a blacksmith, if we have one, to get really make sure that Arlec's breastplate is fixed, hopefully as like ASAP for his wings.
You can give me an investigation check on that. And then just to answer like how you're kind of interpreting it, you've kind of minorly
I'll get to that in the morning after the level up.
Okay.
I'll have that on synthesizing. And,
okay, so yeah, in the synthesizing, just to kind of like to give you an answer for how you're thinking, and just to tell our audience and other players, Thad, when he died, he was killed by the breath of a shadow dragon a little while ago, brought back to life by Krampus, Chaos God. He respec from being a mechanically barbarian wizard into a wizard with a small dip into artificer. And that makes a lot of sense because we live in a very low magic realm, which is kind of steampunky. The artificers are kind of the most popular version of like magical and scientific power. And you definitely, you know enough to see that it is not just arcane that is the construct, but that there's a huge amount of like a very complicated and high-skilled artificer work that has gone into this construct. It's kind of like pulling apart a computer circuit and being like, all right, I just have to like figure out where all the electricity goes. Like it's maybe a little larger than a CPU, but the complexity is like a nervous system or something. It's like massively complex. If you were to have a schematic, you might be able to start parsing it and with like some study, or otherwise you'd have to probably like start pulling it apart, just because it's like very, very complicated. Or doing some testing.
If part of Sean's 2 hours before he goes to bed is getting his armor sorted, it's more along the lines of like, I'm just checking when I'm done with Legion as I'm thinking of things like materials. Yeah. I just want to make sure that that's happened.
I mean, you're now in your home camp, so this is kind of home base, or like, you know, where you return to in a video game. The Ethereal Dread, which is our big ship that we're looking at in our, if everyone can see that, I think, right? Everyone can see. Yeah. So the Ethereal Dread is like the flagship of the Calaman Navy. The Ethereal Dread runs on a combination of steamship and wind energy. It has some very hot forges, and soldiers have kind of told you like it's hard to set up a full working forge on a beachhead in just like a week, but the Ethereal Dread has the capacity to do maintenance and fabrication, and that's where you're going to be going tomorrow morning anyways. Was there anything anyone else wanted to do before our long rest? Otherwise, we're going to kind of be jumping forward to the next day. Amazing. So the next day, everyone wakes up. Everyone is kind of focused on a mission. We all know what we're going to do. I don't want to take this away from you, so I'm not going to say Legion's gone, but Legion is packed up onto a kind of a rowboat that's going to be taking the whole bunch of you over to the Ethereal Dread, where this strategy session is going to be had with the other kind of dominant, like most higher ranking people in this expedition force. Once you get to the Ethereal Dread, there are some rope ladders that are laid out, and actually no, so the Ethereal Dread has like some cranes that pop over to the edge, hook onto this ship and start pulling it up, and it gets about halfway and then stops, still about 10-15 feet below the deck, where you wait until the captain, the orcish female captain of the Ethereal Dread, admiral of the Kalaman Navy, comes and looks over, giving her formal invitation on board her ship. Louisa, we play with some languages here. Elven is French. Orcish is like kind of Russian. Kender is like Jersey or New Yorker or kind of anything that anyone wants to do as Kender, I suppose, at this point. But yeah, so
dialect, not language. We're not speaking French. I mean, well, I guess some of us are, but it's the dialect. It's not
well, it's we like for our Owlin character, Bubo, who's actually was taken from us a couple weeks ago. He's from the Elvish Homewoods, and so he speaks with an Elvish accent. So he speaks with a French accent. Is kind of how we play with that for fun. So yeah, the orc captain brings you on board. She has not set foot on land yet, and once you kind of have all come, I see you are back. Permission granted to step aboard. I believe there is quite a lot we have to do today, but I must say that the small one, the Rukeldust, the little annoying gnome, it wanted to see the construct.
Are they looking at it right now?
As she says that, you see like between all of her crew are like medium-sized humans and orcs, and out from between kind of the legs of one of them. Now she's speaking in common. She's just speaking with her orcish accent. Is little Rukeldust Springzel, who you might remember from having saved from the little workshop. Rukeldust has made slight enemies potentially with Harold and remembers that fact. Harold, we have a history of Harold being upset that the gnomes will not shut up ever. Yeah, they don't shut up. They're very curious. For whatever reason, this orcish captain runs a tight ship, and Rukeldust, for one of the few times you've ever seen her, is silent. I would say that the young gnome could take the construct, but I know that you have some sentimental connection to it. So I suggested possibly we postpone our council until the little tinkerer has had the chance.
We need the little tinkerer to turn it back on, not take it away.
At that, the little gnome steps forward and clasps her hands together. This is exactly what I wanted to do. If you just come to me, I have prepared a little makeshift workshop. I think we can make much progress.
Who wants to supervise this debacle?
I'm on it.
Oh, it is okay. You can all come. It is a very big ship. I was able to get a very large workshop. It is quite big enough for all of us. If you may, kind of does a little clap of her head, snap of her fingers. No one moves until the captain gives a nod, and then 5 very large-looking sailors come and pick up this massive construct. The construct in its neutral state is 2 meters tall, 200 kilograms. and with a heave ho, lift it up and take it under deck into the makeshift workshop. Who wants to go and follow?
Elric will follow.
Everyone? Is Harold gonna stay back? Harold doesn't trust anything.
Everyone's going. We're all going.
Oh, Harold is going to follow, but Harold is sulking.
I love it. Okay, you all follow down into a makeshift workshop. This is probably like what would originally have been maybe like an officer's quarters. But everything has been stripped away except for some of the furniture, and a lot of stuff has been brought in. You can see near the walls, there's like 2 or 3 large trunks that are now mostly empty and have kind of exploded just to various paraphernalia, instruments. It's kind of like we're looking at like gears and pulleys and pistons and bubbly things like Frankenstein. It's very turn of the century steampunky. This is the nature of artificer magic and technology. In the center, a large table has been laid out, and the 5 soldiers, or 5, I should say, sailors, drop Legion onto that table, and then just leave without any real fanfare. By the time you look back to the closed door, little Rukel Dust has put on a huge kind of headset that includes multiple lenses that can go in front of each other. Also added a glove that has some like extra needles and kind of like this new thing where it's like you can get a second thumb is now something that you can they're talking about. It's like this glove that like provides additional digits and capacities. And she looks to you through these like hyper expanded eyes through these lenses. Okay, I think we can get started. This is very good.
Harold leans over to Arlie, says, "Don't touch anything."
It's gonna be very hard, Harold. Everything in here is just okay. I put my hands in the pocket.
I sort of silently get into a position where I can really try to follow along what Rugal Dust is doing.
Nice. If you get close enough, you find yourself basically becoming an assistant, just holding things. Okay, yes, just to hold this for a moment, and then kind of picking up something else, assembling it, putting it back, taking another part, taking it from you, assembling something, putting it out there. There's a little tripod that is now sitting over the mid-core of Legion. Then going and getting what looks like a telescope, putting that on, pointing it out the window, and then a plumb bob that hangs just above the core chest of Legion, or what seems to be like a golden plumb bob. After a little bit more, anyone can roll if they're trying to really understand what's going on. Otherwise, this is just a lot of random stuff.
Aelric is not doing anything, just looming.
Just looming. Love it.
Arlie's just very short and trying to be on her tippy toes and kind of look around stuff but not get too close so she doesn't upset Harold, and it's just kind of oh, what are they doing over there? And just kind of observing. But
Arlie, there are so many shiny things and glittery things that look like they want to be touched.
And I'm just trying to hold it all together, but very distracted.
Awesome. With a 12, Thad, what you can tell with a 12 is that what this device that she has put over top of Legion is pointing towards that central power core that you were able to discern the location. Kind of right over the, I guess it's, what is it? It's not the coccyx, is it? It's at the bottom of the sternum? Or am I thinking of that's the tailbone?
Bottom of the tailbone. Xiphoid process.
That's it. Yeah. Boom. All right. Bonus points. Inspiration point for Sean for the xiphoid process. After a series of getting all this ready, everything seems to like all of the kind of frantic energy moves, and then with a 12, Thad, you are able to see, whereas everyone else just sees kind of constant nonstop movement. Thad, you see there's a distinctive shift between focusing on Legion and focusing on something else as Rugeldust moves over to a table with a bunch of beakers and liquids, some of which are steaming, and a heat pot and some other stuff like that. After a few minutes, she pours a lovely steaming cup of coffee and starts blowing on it for herself and looks to the rest of it and says, would anyone like a bit of a cafe? We have about 7 minutes.
Fine. We're fine. Thank you. We're fine.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
I'll have one.
Okay. Take this one. Is very good, just for you. And starts working on the rest of it. Gets herself another cup of coffee. Finishes with 3 more minutes. Then she just sits up on a normal-sized chair. This is little gnome, and just swings her feet as she sips the coffee, and just waiting. Just waiting for a few more minutes, like checking a little pocket watch, and then putting it back and sipping. After she finishes her coffee, when the pocket watch is done, sets the mug back down, and at this point, fully opens the window that the telescope has been pointed towards, and the morning sun is just beaming in, like right at this perfect pitch and angle. And it fires itself into the room, focuses through the telescope into some sort of a plate that is connected to that plumb bob that starts to vibrate and activate. There is some sort of arcane energy for anyone who has the capacity to... arcane energy is like visual but not visual. If you don't have the capacity to see it, you don't really see it. If you do, it's kind of like infra black or something. That fires into the Legion's xiphoid process. That's what we called it. And Louisa, do you want to describe what happens next?
Yeah, there's like a sound of creaking metal and a large expansion through the construct, and with it comes the sound that is almost like a steam engine pulling out of the station, as you hear kind of air sifting through different parts of the metal as it grows and grows, and then from the Legion construct you hear and the top of the head becomes really smooth, like a large helmet, and there's a slit in the middle, and all of a sudden you see this pale gray glow that almost feels like eyes, but you can't make out the details very specifically. And as they pop open, from the mouth comes, "Oh, you have got to be kidding me." And the legs swing off and land on the ground, and Legion tries to stand up, but as with someone who is just woken up, immediately is stumbling, and I imagine, I don't know if you need me to roll for this, but like crashing into beakers.
Just shattering things, shattering very delicate instruments. The gnome Rugeldusk is losing her mind. No, this is I only found that in the southern glare. No, I think I can fix it.
And there's just continued flailing as like the gigantic hand is like trying to find a stable point on some kind of shelf or something to prop itself up.
Big guy, do you want to catch them?
Elric looks at Thad and then lumbers over as best he can in this cramped space and leans down, and it looks enormous. Is it bigger than normal? Has it changed fundamentally? I mean, the picture that you have here is huge.
Fully can.
Huh?
Oh, we missed your answer. We missed your answer, Louisa. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were speaking, so I stopped talking. Oh. I would say it's pretty big. I would say larger than normal, yeah.
Okay. Well, he squats. Elric squats down as best he can and holds out his hand, ready to pull up. If the hand, if Legion
At this
takes
point, the
him out.
telescope has just like fallen and shattered. Some of the lenses fully cracked. The plumb bob has rolled its way under something. And Harold is making sure that Arlie doesn't take opportunity in this moment to just grab something as as items go everywhere. Rukel Dust at this point is fully distracted with just trying to collect and protect.
As I see Legion like getting stabilized, I'm gonna start just spamming mending, which is a cantrip, and anything that is in the size of and in Gnomish, which I actually can now remember like fully, rather than like the fluency is now there with my recall. I like keep apologizing as like in between each schools.
You open the door to Gnomish, and Rukeldust just fully transitions into Gnomish. Vieni qua, attento, ma dai, allora, vieni qua, questa, no, la mia mamma, mamma d'ora. Just it turns lots of consonants and melodic language going on right now.
So to be clear, the Legion construct does not need Elric to stabilize it or to
I
help
think Legion will take a look over at Alric, and the hand almost comes up as if it's going to choke or do something, and then it relaxes, and then kind of looks around and it kind of gives up, and it just like slumps to the ground and kind of sits very unseemingly on the floor.
Elric looks at Harold. This is new.
I don't know, man. They're always new. Hey, what's your name?
My name. You want to know my name? Well, I did suppose you asked. I am Helm, and someone has woken me from my slumber.
Helm.
Yeah, so
Helm?
Yes?
Like the piece of armor?
I think I'm repeating it loud enough.
Dong,
Yeah, I
dong.
was going to say, I'm trying to repeat it loud enough for someone who might have a character that would know that, would hear. Kind of like throwing one's voice towards Arlie or Thad, like, Helm?
Yeah,
Helm!
yeah.
Arlie is so distracted trying to hold back her kind of innate stereotypical response to just taking shiny, valuable things that are potentially going to be lost anyways.
yeah, but Arlie didn't add her skill modifier to that roll. She just rolled a flat d20. So what's your
that's true.
modifier for religion, Arlie?
5, so it would be a 13.
It would be
Right?
a 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So, so Thad with a 16, Arlie with a 13. Elric with a 14. So everyone except Harold at that point would recognize this as a deity. I'm going to say as like one of the pantheon that you would recognize is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's a deity.
I'm going to say to Louisa that it is a DC 10 to know the alignment of this god, and is a DC 15 to know details about this god. But I'm going to leave it to you as to what they know.
You would know that Helm is traditionally a pretty lawful good god, worshipped by a lot of guards and paladins. Helm is the god of protection, really, really especially interested in protecting mortals. Those are the basics.
Yeah. It has been 350 years since gods have been around, so most people have forgotten about them. And the powers that be have also kind of done what happened in England, like burned all of the churches and defaced all of the history books. So they only really exist in a couple places anymore. Yeah.
So on hearing that, then I stop mending whatever I was in the middle of mending, and I look at Helm, and I sort of softly, did you bubble up to the surface because of what happened to Bubo?
What happened to who? I do not know where I am. I was torn from a very peaceful sleep to find myself... Gosh, what even is this place?
The other ones, I'm not crazy. The other ones have remembered us in between them, right? I'm not making that up. That's not a thing I'm misremembering.
Good. Very good. I come to a place where no one remembers me. How interesting for you.
Helm, so my name is Harold. It's a pleasure to meet you. You are currently within a Legion construct. Many hundreds of years ago. What's the last thing you remember, Helm? Let's start there.
There's a long silence, and you see the gray light through the slit actually kind of turn off for a second, as if it's closed its eyes. And then very slowly, the light comes back. I do not wish to talk about that time too much. I was on a quest that was of some significance to me. Before, in the middle, I was... Well, then, we were in the other place.
Right. So, okay. Who wants to tell Helm?
There's a knock on the door, and the orcish captain just bursts up and says, I could tell from all the action that something must have happened. Ah, yes. Good. I was told to expect something like this. Shall we proceed to the War Council?
No, two minutes, please. Can you just clear the room, please?
Is this a literal 2 minutes or a figurative 2 minutes?
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
That sounds like figurative. Okay. She closes the door behind her, and you hear her stomp away.
I turn immediately to Arlie, and I'm like, well, your whole thing is talking to gods, so...
Right. So, you can't talk to anyone. You don't know any of the other people, like, inside you at all? Like, you haven't, like, played little, maybe, like, telephone or anything with anybody in there?
Oh, I've seen others. I just ignored them and went to sleep. It was a very large burden to be out in the world, and quite frankly, once no one appreciated what I was doing, I figured I might as well take a break. It was a semblance of peace, in a way.
It seems Library Cat likes you, so that probably means that you're safe, or like at least a kind god. So you're like, I'm very bad at Arlie's accent.
Whatever you want.
Like
You're other Arlie.
Other Arlie. You're like trapped in this body, and there's a bunch of you in there, and so you're like probably gonna hang out with us for a little while, and we gotta go like on our own little quest, so we're gonna go do that. But first we need to go have this like little meeting. But we're glad that you're awake, and is there anything else you'd like to tell us about anything that may have happened before you fell asleep or decided to take a little nap?
Helm. Are you aware of the war between the gods and the mortals? Or were you just questing?
Why don't you tell me?
I'm asking because I don't know what you know, but we came to know this construct that you are in, and someone removed the gem containing Kesis from it. And we
This
see
is not something I know anything about.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give it a whirl.
Aelric bends down and says, "This is going to be complicated. Let's start with a simple thing. You're on a boat. You're in the hull of the ship. Why don't we go above deck?"
We shouldn't talk in public about the fact that we're with a god amongst people who think that the gods are gone just yet. I don't think that that's a good idea. I turned to Helm. What, 300 years ago? More than 300 years ago? How many hundred years? 1,000 years ago?
350.
350 years ago, we, and by we I mean mortals, stripped the gods, I guess, out of their seat in eternity, or wherever it is that you all are that connects you to your godhood, and we put all of you into gems, which we then faceted to a construct which seemingly can manifest some of you occasionally. And currently you are incarnating into the construct, into a world which hasn't known a god in over 350 years.
Legion doesn't say anything, and you just see the light, like, kind of blinking on and off.
In a corner of the room, there's like a slurping sound, a very tiny slurping sound, and you see that Squeak Noir has found one of the remaining cups of coffee. This is very nice.
We are your friends and want to take you to a place where we can make you whole and more comfortable, and or possibly free you.
What makes you my friend? You, of the people who imprisoned me 350 years ago.
No, none of us were alive. None of us lived that long. Well,
No,
actually,
it's a fair question. It's a fair question. All we share is a common purpose. Believe that should Takesis be allowed to escape the prison which you inhabit, no other gods either be allowed to escape with her, that the world would end. All other inhabitants of the construct you find yourself in have shared this common purpose with us. But you're right. We're not your friends.
And you want me to go with you to help you on this quest you're on?
Yes.
I mean, it's possible you were trying to quest to the place that we're questing to. We might be on, like, parallel quests.
Would this
Or
be
conversion.
too figurative minutes for your party, or do you like to have more of this abstract time?
In
Aelric's by the door.
orcish,
Okay.
Harold says to the captain, "With all due respect, could you kindly piss off? Having a moment."
Roll a persuasion check for me. And you can roll with advantage for speaking in Orcish. Jesus, fucking rogues. 28. You see the kind of shocked look of like not expecting to hear her native tongue. And all of the attention from being in this like abstract, I'm talking to a group of idiots, goes directly to Harold. And there's almost hard to tell whether it's like a I think I want to eat him, or I think he's cute. And she kind of nods, just really will, and closes the door behind her. You have to now stream
Thank
from
you.
that angle forever, Key. That is the greatest angle for a halfling. Absolutely.
I'll
Love it.
set it up.
It's really funny. I like it. You're back alone in the room. Rugeldust is still tinkering, but like totally focused on broken things and kind of muttering and cursing to herself. There's a slurping rat with a small, large-brimmed hat and a feather and a little rapier at its belt. It's one of those Disney animals that doesn't have clothes, but because it has a hat, it has clothes. And then there is a calico cat that is just like rubbing up against the large metallic stumps that are Helm's legs and just kind of purring.
What do you want, Helm?
I want to go above board. And it just picks itself up, still kind of wobbly, and moves towards the upper deck.
Elric mutters, finally, and opens the door and starts heading upstairs.
I
Awesome.
was ready for an evil god, but I was not ready for an ignorant god. That's wild. And I leave.
I love it. Yeah, so not only is it weird to be walking in this physical form, having not been confined to physical forms for however long since the last time you chose to incarnate, but it's also on a slightly rolling deck, which makes it all that much harder. And also, this construct seems to be lacking certain useful joints, like ankles. So eventually kind of figuring it out. By the time you all reach the main deck of the Ethereal Dread, I think you're like Helm's starting to find a bit of comfort in their body, at least through, locomotion.
Yeah, I think at first it's like holding onto the railing. You know when people go like skating for the first time and they're like edging
Yeah.
across? I think that's what it looks like, except that he's massive.
There's a couple holes that are made in the walls as like don't fully understand your own strength at first. Like, oh right, I don't need to do that. Yeah.
Exactly. Shake off the wood splinters there.
The shivers.
And then I think it looks up at the sky, kind of standing in the middle of the deck, and like closes his eyes and like spreads his arms out. And there's just a silence for like 5 seconds before the arms drop very unceremoniously. And he's like, well, I can't feel anything.
Wait, like you can't feel anything.
The last form I took was very different from this metal construct, and the sensation is not quite there. That's disappointing.
Sorry to hear that. I walk to the war council.
Yeah, Elric takes that in and also walks to the war council.
I like, with my tiny little legs, saddle up, and I'm like, but like, what were you hoping to feel?
Just the breeze.
That's fair. And then just watch them. So
Helm
Harold's
follows
gonna
them.
remain. Okay.
Cool. So I guess Harold's following Helm, but Helm's following them, kind of thing. Awesome. You all, you're able to find at this point, like when you're on deck, you see the captain. She's just kind of standing there. At this point, she's taken the note that she'll leave you alone until you're ready. And once that first person being like, okay, I think we're ready, she leads you down to this war council. This is a nice chamber. It has been cleared. This is probably like the officer's mess originally, but it has been cleared. There's a large table that's in the front. In the room are just a few of the more important people that you've met on your travels. A reminder of who those would be. There is Darrett, our super helpful companion with the typical fantasy accent, Knight of Salamnia, young soldier who has been given a lot of authority because he represents the order of the Salamnic Knights here. We have Rukeldust, who is covered in like shattered glass that looks like if you breathed it in, it'll like rupture your lungs. And she has a piping new cup of coffee. She's brought a little espresso cup because it seems like Squeak Noir has asked for that. We also have two elven wizards, Jelzuel the Elder and Dalamar the Younger. And the captain of the ship, Keldanus, who is the Orcish admiral. This is her ship. She will be where anything important is occurring. On the table, there is a rolled up large parchment, and on the sides, a bunch of little tokens and stuff. These are like, this is kind of like this war map that has been prepared. As you enter all, first Thad, then followed by Aelric. Ah, yes, you've made it wonderful. How do you feel after your first night in safe quarters?
Good to get rest.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I assume Rukeldust did oh my lord, as Helm just barrels her way through. Does Helm try to fit through the doorway or just kind of walk through the doorway?
Yeah, I think a helm is low effort at this point, so just walking through.
So the bulkhead is destroyed as Helm just walks through it. This is like thick oak, and it just it gives way like drywall in a movie. And everyone kind of turns, and there's like a held breath. At this point, you don't notice it, Helm, but the cat has found its way onto one of your shoulders. And everyone's kind of general sense of the party's general like relaxed demeanor encourages all of our other people here at the council to quickly contain any surprise or shock that they might be feeling. I see this one is this right, as Darrett stutters. I suppose we are all met. We did hear about Bubo. Our condolences. But we do believe that he possibly might still be alive. As I hesitate to make such assumptions.
We're assuming that he is.
Of course. I would assume the same. I was the one who suggested we gather here. Thankfully, Keldanus offered her space. I believe we can fix the bulkhead, as she gives him like a very specific look to her bulkhead and to Helm, who's also larger than this orc, so it can't easily intimidate. She can't easily be just physically intimidating. But I believe after it was just about... It has been almost a week, give or take, since we have set up the beachhead and you've all left to meet our new elven companions. That I believe it is time that we clarify our purpose and our strategy, as it were. If there is anything anyone would like to say before we get started, I suggest maybe now would be the time. Otherwise, I would suggest we get right down to it. Wonderful. And with that, as everyone's kind of unsure about what to say with this large construct in the way, they unroll the parchment. And as they unroll the parchment, they reveal this map, our northern wastes, the Kalaman region. As they finally unroll it, put some candles on all the corners, they start placing tokens on the map. These tokens are the tokens you see there in front of you. For anyone who, I'm going to give us a moment to like take some time. Oh, we're playing with our rotations here. Those tokens we have on the right side under Qualmish, those are just representations of kind of the tokens of the units that we have as this expedition force. So there are Cudgel's Gut Rippers. I forgot to actually mention, but that makes sense because Cudgel walks in very drunk. Cudgel is a dwarven mercenary who ran a mercenary party and brought a few of her members with her. She stumbles in as this is being unrolled. I didn't want to miss the Warcos. So large. It wasn't ever this large. We also have the Rangers, which are Kalaman kind of hunters that have been gathered together, an informal band. We have some light spear infantry, unit of them, a unit of heavy infantry. There is a unit of light cavalry, a unit of heavy cavalry. You have the Kalaman archers, and recently you gained some elven refugees, so you have elven archers as well. Those are those tokens there. In the center is the expedition force that could represent the entire force if you want. Below it we have the party itself, which is that kind of bust of the Legion construct. You see above it there's the Ethereal Dread. That would represent your 3-ship navy, as it were, if you were to choose to send it anywhere. Below it is the Elven ship, which was the Elven refugees ship. That is significant because the party can travel on that by themselves, and it has a teleportation circle on it. So it can be teleported to with anyone who has the spell Teleportation Circle, which you know that Jelzuel does have. So at the moment, everyone is at the Wrecker's Edge where that party token is. All the other tokens I just have on the map so that you can see them. These are kind of representations of like these physical tokens in the space that can be used. There are points of interest that have been marked down, and there are these shadowy points. Oh dear. I shouldn't have given you all this power. There are also these circular Ouroboros dragons that are... I'm going to move these back to where they're supposed to be. That represent enemy contingents, like large enemy forces. There's the one on Vogler that you remember from quite a long time ago. Near Liar's Point, there was that kind of navy that... you had a bit of a navy battle on your trip to Wrecker's Edge from Kalaman. That's where they're posted. And the airship, which is that enemy airship that you remember, which is what forced you to retreat and not be able to rescue Bubo, is there at Exile's End, where you last saw it. But you can... So at this point, everything is laid out. You can feel free to ask questions in character, or out of character. This is an overlap in terms of what's going on. So if you are confused about what's happening, obviously ask out of character. Otherwise, I think this was here, if I wasn't mistaken.
What's the big shadow over Storm Step?
The shadow over Storm Step. Yes, there seems to be, as you can see with these small tokens here representing these shadows, I believe Jelzuel and Dalamar mentioned that you yourselves were witness to these roaming shadows. They seem to be moving slowly across the land, but the large shadow in the distance there seems to be unmoving. We are not sure what's in it, but it seems to span about 18 miles in diameter. Even the sunlight cannot pierce it.
think that's
Can
where
you
that
give-
dragon is.
Good bet. Can you give more details on what this roaming shadow, what one of them would look like or does look like?
We experienced it, right? Didn't we catch one?
Yeah, so the roaming shadows, what is it? Joe's has a very old voice. As you remember, the shadows appear to be the shadows of large clouds moving across the land. But of course, they travel even in open air. What we do know is that once within them, one cannot see even the light of the sun, so that they appear as shadows drifting tightly against the land from afar. Once inside, one can get lost in a dark night. They travel seemingly against the winds. They're almost at random.
Man, I do not remember that at all. Yeah, Sean does not remember this at all, but I take your word for
Yeah,
it.
out of character, it was something that was kind of described in your journey from Wrecker's Edge to Exile's End, and then it was those that actually descended on you that created the darkness that then the Shadow Dragon came out of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I had this sense that was something else. Okay, great. Got it.
So, not to beat around the bush here, Derek, but do we have the weaponry to destroy an airship? Because otherwise, we're shit out of luck.
Yes, the airship. I'm afraid I did not see it, but I've heard some of the descriptions from Jelzuel before they appeared most suddenly from the transportation circle. From the sounds of it, it is a flying fortress of sorts. I am not sure. Let me say, I have not been trained for such encounters. These airships are from a time before the Cataclysm. Possibly with your magic, and were we to commit our forces, we might be able to fight it. But I cannot say how many people are within, what sort of weaponry it has on its own. And
When I saw it, Koi, how many?
Yeah.
Because I saw it unloading.
Yeah.
How many people did I see with it ballpark?
You saw it loading up, actually. But yeah, it was about 200. It was like a good force of a couple hundred at least. And the dragons seemed to be that squadron of dragons that had collected Bubo seemed to be returning to it. So it's easily large enough to like have some sort of a mobile roost for any dragons as well, or Dragonel.
Do we have any information about what that point of interest is to the southwest? About a half a day and a half, or a day away?
Yes. I spoke with the young gnome, and we both agreed that there is something rather interesting in that region, which is why we placed it on the map. It's rare that both of us were pulled in this direction. What the elf is trying to say, it is a very powerful, arcane, how do you say, come si dice, place, possibly an old arcano-mechanical device of great power. We think that it is possible if we were to go to possibly reactivate it. Of course, what it is, we do not know. What the
It's
little
roughly
one
about a day
said.
away?
It is about, yes.
Well, I agree with Harold that the airship is a major problem for any advancement either up the coast or inland in its zone of control.
Charlie, you were on an airship. How often do they need to resupply? Stop.
We're gonna need some table talk for this.
Yeah, someone
Yeah,
actually
we-
rolled
I-
for
you know,
this.
I asked this question last session. That thing has a magical reactor inside of it, outside of like supplies, which we would have to guesstimate on. It doesn't need to refuel. It doesn't need to drop down at all unless it's for getting people on board or food, as far as I could tell from last session.
A contingent of 200 soldiers plus a roost of dragons. That's a lot of food. A lot of water.
That's a lot of firepower, but it can't project any of that force other than the airborne elements unless it lands.
Right.
It is vulnerable when it lands.
Right. Helm.
I like what he's thinking. That's what I've been trying to say, but they won't listen to me. I say we get ourselves inside it, and then we have not only a big bunker fucking ship like this orc captain has here, but we have an airship for ourselves, aye?
Helm, you're pre-cataclysm. Any experience with airships?
Helm reluctantly turns his head and says, "No."
I like this one. But I have a proposal for the table. Knowing that the airship is our main problem, knowing that we either need some way of getting ourselves airborne and on the ship undetected to kill upwards of 200 people in order to take over the ship, we could alternatively, as just a backup plan, sail up the coast of Quamish and then try to cut across the ocean into the Spires of Dawn as a backup plan. But before we even talk about that, a half a day's journey over to that little object, that little point of interest, we can observe, send a scouting party to see what the airship does, and then base our movements off of what it does next.
Yes, the Spiders of Dawn. I placed these coastal points. This is an old fortress that has been fallen into disrepair, can be seen from the water. I believe with a small ship you could be able to get onto the coastline and get into this fortress, but there have been the enemy interest in such place, and it is not a landing for the ethereal dread. Further north, near the cliffs that drink, this is a place where we could land our forces en masse, if you so choose.
Well, I think that while we wait to see what the airship does, we boogie down and check out the ruins that everybody seems to say is nearby and worth our while. And then if the airship goes inland, we push up the coast, make sure they haven't settled at the Spires of Dawn, and then make a strong base camp above them in the north where we hope that they haven't made a strong beachhead yet.
I must say, the Ethereal Dawn is needed to protect the other convoy ships. And along this coastline, I trust nothing other than where I have placed that token near the cliffs that drink. The smaller vessel that these elves have. This is something possibly you could moor.
Do we feel like holding and seeing what the enemy airship does and take the day's journey to the southwest?
Well, until we can get a... sorry, I should be in character. Until we can determine a plan to get it on the ground, ambush it, take it, and then get it off the ground with us in it, I don't see any reason to take it head on. Bubo is our priority for sure, but we can't just fly to it.
You might.
There's a tip, 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 tap, tap, tap on the wooden boards as a late member joins the War Council. He's a ragged-haired human in some robes. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. No one told me about the meeting, but no, I'm here. Don't worry about it. It looks like you're in the middle of a conversation. I'm going to sit over here. It's Dilk, the human druid. So looks like you guys are in the middle.
Yo,
don't even.
come here.
Yeah, hey, yeah. What's going on, Elric? What are we doing?
2 questions.
Shoot.
Given your age, I point to the point of interest. Any idea what's there?
Well, this was the Gnomish homelands, before. So, is it a city?
What do we know of what have we seen? I mean, what gave you the impression that there was something deeply magical there?
My interim, sorry, that's the wrong. I was trying to create some sort of arcane scrying and also make sure that we are protected from any unwanted magical interference. And I found myself pulled towards a strong energy down to the southwest. And my compass, my arcane compass, it is pulled down to the same location.
Right, let's go there. Darren,
Yeah.
Very good.
I want you to draw plans to storm an airship. I want the men prepared. We're not going into this blind, and this may be a contingency we need to consider. Captain, can the Ethereal Dread stand combat with that ship, or will you be forced to withdraw?
Little one, you have a very good point. I do not think at sea we would be in much risk of any combatants within it, because it must land to let them out. Then again, until we know what sort of weaponry it has, we do not know. The Ethereal Dread can stand up against many naval opponents, but from above, we are not as practiced. Do not let you take that for fear, for I would welcome such a challenge.
Cannons can point up too.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And if I may, I think we can change the reactor to "Shut up, little one." Very nice, okay.
I turn to Jezebel too, and I loop in Garrett, and we also need to send our best detachment of scouts. We need to send them towards the airship a safe distance away, and we need to watch their movements and what direction that they're going. People who can remain unseen and are up to that kind of challenge.
Cool. So I'm going to give you a little mechanical stuff. This is very soft-ish. I haven't made like hard rules, but just to get you and to give you guys a sense of what you're working with. The general thing here is that you don't have Bubo. Bubo was an Owlin. Bubo could fly really, really high up, and so he could see like 100 miles. Without Bubo, you get standing on the ground, you get about 3 miles sight before the horizon just like dips down. Now, you do have a little owl buddy, and there's the potential to scout. So basically the idea is that like once you are anyone who is like adjacent, when you have tokens that are adjacent to each other, it is possible to scout that adjacent region. It is also possible to remain stealthed when adjacent to an enemy region. Once you are on top of the same region, that doesn't mean you're automatically in a battle. These hexes are 6 miles across, but it does mean that they know where you are. So when you're next to someone, you might know where they are. You could send, for example, scouts next to it, that sort of thing. Sorry. Yes.
Jesuel, Is your ship faster than a dragon on the wing?
With a full crew, I believe we could give it a run for his money. That would take all of my people.
I believe you're a scout along the coast.
Very good. We have renamed our ship the Flying Bubo.
Of course you did. Harold tries really hard to maintain a neutral expression.
Yeah. Dilk is like, dude, Gel. He has a nickname, of course, for him. Gel. That means a lot. I'm sure Bubo would really respect that. You know, I was helping them repaint, little Bubo. I think he'll love it. I can't wait to. Because we're gonna get him back. I can't wait to show him. I think it really means a lot. I think there's a brand that we're working for right now. Thad, I know you got little Bubo. I think we got something going here. I think we're the Bubo and the crew, right? Like, is that what we're kind of? Are we thinking that? Like, I wanted to throw it out at you. Seems like we have a plan already, so I just wanted to throw it out. Get a little heat check, yay or nay. Like, are Bubo and the crew? Or is that? Think about it. We'll workshop it.
Yes, we'll workshop it. But we should send a detachment of rangers up towards Exile's End to keep an eye on the airship.
Yes.
That's what I thought Jezebel could do from the coast.
Oh, if they go more inland, yeah, sure. Go up from the coast if it's faster. That makes more sense. You're right.
So what I'll say is place the tokens that you want to place where you want them to go eventually. And then what we'll be doing is we'll through time they will get there, but just so that we have a copy of where we want them to go, for us and for myself and for, oh my god, I never should have given them this power.
They're all linked.
They shouldn't be. I think they're all selected at the same time.
So the elven ship up here.
Okay. You'd have to be adjacent to be able to scout. You can only scout adjacent regions.
They're elves and they have magic.
That's not an answer. That doesn't use your magic.
Rangers should be in this pass because they'll see. It's coming towards Wrecker's Edge. They'll see it from here.
Okay.
Right? There is no adjacent square. It would have to go all the way around the bottom. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I would say that cavalry and
they can also choose to stay with the main force if you want. You don't have to split them up, but it's up to you.
yeah, and Cudgel's Gut Rippers come with us.
Yeah.
Rangers.
And then we go over there.
So the Rangers are gonna hold that position in stealth.
Yeah.
Darrett's going to be preparing a plan of attack. The elf ship will be moving up the coast, scouting. And who's coming with?
We don't have a token for the lead elf, do we?
The lead elf would be moving with his people.
Ship. Yeah, he's going with the ship.
I put Cudgels and the light cavalry in the space we're going to, Clay. So they're where we want them to go now.
Yeah, we just can't move the party chip. Right.
Okay.
How about the gnome?
The gnome stays on the ship, on the Ethereal Dread. The gnome is not a fighter. I'm going to give you
Dilk?
control of the token. Dilk goes wherever you guys want.
Dilk's coming with us. We need somebody. I mean, we need something here to interpret whatever this history is, or whatever this pull is, right?
Yeah, we absolutely take Dilk with us.
Yeah.
Now have
And we
control
take Helm.
of the party.
Yeah, and well, that's when I turn to Helm and say, "This is the plan. Are you coming, or are you staying?"
Helm says, "I will not be joining you."
No. No, you're gonna
Helm crosses his arms, and the light blinks off. It looks like he's trying to take a nap.
I love it. I'm going to say we're going to take our little bio break actually right now because I think that's a pretty good time. I am going to. We don't have our. Do I have my credits? Hell yeah. We're going to credits.
Welcome to
Let me just turn
the
on.
Banal Era. 350 years after the great cataclysm tore asunder the very fabric of existence, erasing the divine and the draconic from reality. The ingenuity of the gnomes, undimmed by the cataclysm, has given birth to a new era of technological marvels. Steam and steel blended with the arcane. With no more divine influence, Solamnia's social tapestry has rewoven. The once fragmented races of humans, elves, halflings, orcs, and kenda have found a harmonious coexistence, freed from the manipulations of their now absent gods. The Solamnic Knights, paragons of honor and duty, stand as the unflinching guardians of peace. Forsaking personal claims to power, these knights embody an unwavering commitment to justice, serving as a beacon of hope and stability in a world still healing from its past wounds. The government of Solamnia is comprised of 3 equal branches. The House of Lords, representatives from the noble class, who still own most of the land and soldiers. The Grand Solamnic Parliaments, consisting of local representatives elected by the people to serve in provincial and federal capitals. It is worth noting that the Solamnic Knights are funded by the Parliament and sworn to honor and protect its decisions. The Arcane Triumvirate are the 3rd branch. 1 mage representative from each tower. These 3 are the only magic wielders allowed in government. In the arcane spheres, the towers of high sorcery reign absolute. These custodians of magical knowledge wield their authority with a solemn gravity, ensuring that the arcane remains a controlled and respected force. Mages, bound by the tower's edicts, are stripped of land, title, or office. Their presence in banal courts a subtle reminder of the balance between political and raw power. Transformed by necessity, the Order of Clerics, once divine emissaries, now traverse a world devoid of their gods. From their stronghold in the Cleric's Tower, amidst the Kenda-controlled Western Plains, they have adapted to their new role as legal solicitors, notaries, and arbiters, their sacred rituals replaced by the intricacies of contract and law. It is in this waxing era of arcane technical wonders that the winds suddenly shift, carrying with them rumors of dark powers rising in the east. Welcome to Solamnia, the Banal Era. 350 years after the great cataclysm tore asunder the very fabric of existence, erasing the divine and the draconic from reality. The ingenuity of the gnomes, undimmed by the cataclysm, has given birth to a new era of technological marvels. Steam and steel blended with the arcane. With no more divine influence, Solamnia's social tapestry has rewoven. The once fragmented races of humans, elves, halflings, orcs, and kenda have found a harmonious coexistence, freed from the manipulations of their now absent gods. The Solamnic Knights, paragons of honor and duty, stand as the unflinching guardians of peace. Forsaking personal claims to power, these knights embody an unwavering commitment to justice, serving as a beacon of hope and stability in a world still healing from its past wounds. The government of Solamnia is comprised of 3 equal branches. The House of Lords, representatives from the noble class, who still own most of the land and soldiers. The Grand Solamnic Parliaments, consisting of local representatives elected by the people to serve in provincial and federal capitals. It is worth noting that the Solamnic Knights are funded by the Parliament and sworn to honor and protect its decisions. The Arcane Triumvirate are the 3rd branch. 1 mage representative from each tower. These 3 are the only magic wielders allowed in government. In the arcane spheres, the towers of high sorcery reign absolute. These custodians of magical knowledge wield their authority with a solemn gravity, ensuring that the arcane remains a controlled and respected force. Mages, bound by the tower's edicts, are stripped of land, title, or office. Their presence in banal courts a subtle reminder of the balance between political and raw power. Transformed by necessity, the Order of Clerics, once divine emissaries, now traverse a world devoid of their gods. From their stronghold in the Cleric's Tower, amidst the Kenda-controlled Western Plains, they have adapted to their new role as legal solicitors, notaries, and arbiters, their sacred rituals replaced by the intricacies of contract and law. It is in this waxing era of arcane technical wonders that the winds suddenly shift, carrying with them rumors of dark powers rising in the east. Welcome to Solamnia, the Banal Era. 350 years after the great cataclysm tore asunder the very fabric of existence, erasing the divine and the draconic from reality. The ingenuity of the gnomes, undimmed by the cataclysm, has given birth to a new era of technological marvels. Steam and steel blended with the arcane. With no more divine influence, Solamnia's social tapestry has rewoven. The once fragmented races of humans, elves, halflings, orcs, and kenda have found a harmonious coexistence, freed from the manipulations of their now absent gods. The Solamnic Knights, paragons of honor and duty, stand as the unflinching guardians of peace. Forsaking personal claims to power, these knights embody an unwavering commitment to justice, serving as a beacon of hope and stability in a world still healing from its past wounds. The government of Solamnia is comprised of 3 equal branches. The House of Lords, representatives from the noble class, who still own most of the land and soldiers. The Grand Solamnic Parliaments, consisting of local representatives elected by the people to serve in provincial and federal capitals. It is worth noting that the Solamnic Knights are funded by the Parliament and sworn to honor and protect its decisions. The Arcane Triumvirate are the 3rd branch. 1 mage representative from each tower. These 3 are the only magic wielders allowed in government. In the arcane spheres, the towers of high sorcery reign absolute. These custodians of magical knowledge wield their authority with a solemn gravity, ensuring that the arcane remains a controlled and respected force. Mages, bound by the tower's edicts, are stripped of land, title, or office. Their presence in banal courts a subtle reminder of the balance between political and raw power. Transformed by necessity, the Order of Clerics, once divine emissaries, now traverse a world devoid of their gods. From their stronghold in the Cleric's Tower, Amidst the Kenda-controlled Western Plains, they have adapted to their new role as legal solicitors, notaries, and arbiters, their sacred rituals replaced by the intricacies of contract and law. It is in this waxing era of arcane technical wonders that the winds suddenly shift, carrying with them rumors of dark powers rising in the east. Welcome to Solamnia, the Banal Era, 350 years after the great cataclysm tore asunder the very fabric of existence, erasing the divine and the draconic from reality. The ingenuity of the gnomes, undimmed by the cataclysm, has given birth to a new era of technological marvels. Steam and steel blended with the arcane. With no more divine influence, Solamnia's social tapestry has rewoven. The once fragmented races of humans, elves, halflings, orcs, and kenda have found a harmonious coexistence, freed from the manipulations of their now absent gods. The Solamnic Knights, paragons of honor and duty, stand as the unflinching guardians of peace. Forsaking personal claims to power, these knights embody an unwavering commitment to justice, serving as a beacon of hope and stability in a world still healing from its past wounds. The government of Solamnia is comprised of 3 equal branches: the House of Lords, representatives from the noble class, who still own most of the land and soldiers. The Grand Solamnic Parliaments, consisting of local representatives elected by the people to serve in provincial and federal capitals. It is worth noting that the Solamnic Knights are funded by the Parliament and sworn to honor and protect its decisions. The Arcane Triumvirate are the 3rd branch, 1 mage representative from each tower. These 3 are the only magic wielders allowed in government. In the arcane spheres, the towers of high sorcery reign absolute. These custodians of magical knowledge wield their authority with a solemn gravity, ensuring that the arcane remains a controlled and respected force. Mages, bound by the tower's edicts, are stripped of land, title, or office. Their presence in banal courts a subtle reminder of the balance between political and raw power. Transformed by necessity, the Order of Clerics, once divine emissaries, now traverse a world devoid of their gods. From their stronghold in the Cleric's Tower, amidst the Kenda-controlled Western Plains, they have adapted to their new role as legal solicitors, notaries, and arbiters, their sacred rituals replaced by the intricacies of contract and law. It is in this waxing era of arcane technical wonders that the winds suddenly shift, carrying with them rumors of dark powers rising in the east. Welcome to Solamnia, the Banal Era, 350 years after the great cataclysm tore asunder the very fabric of existence, erasing the divine and the draconic from reality. The ingenuity of the gnomes, undimmed by the cataclysm, has given birth to a new era of technological marvels. Steam and steel blended with the arcane. With no more divine influence, Solamnia's social tapestry has rewoven. The once fragmented races of humans, elves, halflings, orcs, and kenda have found a harmonious coexistence, freed from the manipulations of their now absent gods. The Solamnic Knights, paragons of honor and duty, stand as the unflinching guardians of peace. Forsaking personal claims to power, these knights embody an unwavering commitment to justice, serving as a beacon of hope and stability in a world still healing from its past wounds. The government of Solamnia is comprised of 3 equal branches. The House of Lords, representatives from the noble class, who still own most of the land and soldiers. The Grand Solamnic Parliaments, consisting of local representatives elected by the people to serve in provincial and federal capitals. It is worth noting that the Solamnic Knights are funded by the Parliament and sworn to honor and protect its decisions. The Arcane Triumvirate are the 3rd branch. 1 mage representative from each tower. These 3 are the only magic wielders allowed in government. In the arcane spheres, the towers of high sorcery reign absolute. These custodians of magical knowledge wield their authority with a solemn gravity, ensuring that the arcane remains a controlled and respected force. Mages, bound by the tower's edicts.
Boom, boom. Audio on. Welcome back. We've bioed, we've braked. Tales were had, fun was made. I need to work on an intro for that. I feel like Dilk right now. Okay, last we left off, there was a little bit of resistance from Helm. So I'm going to be writing down all these little things, but before we can really go anywhere, Darrett's been sent off with some, everyone's kind of been sent off with orders out of our, and because we've kind of made our decision, I'm going to just move our map here back to just the sense of like a room, so we're not overly distracted. Unless you tell me if you want to look at the map, I'm happy to bring it back. But I don't want to overly distract people. Everyone kind of shuffles out, leaving just our main party and Helm, who's, I think the last thing was attempting to take a nap, with the cat around Helm's kind of head meets shoulders. The cat is successfully taking a nap. And Squeak Noir has remained in a corner.
Ooh, she left some more coffee.
I'm gonna crawl up on the table and crawl to where sit up, because I'm very short and Helm is very tall. I feel like even while sitting, so I'm gonna go on the table. I'm gonna walk to where Helm is sitting. I'm gonna tap a head and be like, "Are you asleep? I have some questions for you."
And Helm is like, not listening.
And Arlie just doesn't care. She's just gonna continue to talk and go off because that's her vibe. So you don't want to come with us, and I see and I respect your agency, and that's great for you, but why not? Do you know what this place that we're going to is? Do you know anything about the places that we just talked about? Do you have any context? Have you been in this area before? What did it look like 300 years ago? And I'm just asking question after question after question. And just
I think this goes on for a while, uncomfortably, it's if it was a cinema. If we were in a
montage.
TV show, there would be a fade cut, as it's time has passed, and eventually the light flashes back on. Enough! My gosh, that tapping is infernal in my helmet. I do not care. I do not care where you are going. I do not care what you are trying to do. I was ripped away not once, but twice. When I was back here, I just did my work. I kept my head down. I asked very little of my followers. I protected people. I did my part, even with their flaws, their many, many flaws. All I asked for was a little worship, a little time, not much at all. And not once, but twice, I was ripped away from the thing I wanted to do. First, from the child I was protecting, and then from The first rest I ever got. So you will excuse me if I do not want to go on your little journey.
Right. So I hear what you're saying, and
Do you?
I do. I'm a very good listener. I don't know if people know that about me, but I actually am a very good listener.
The light narrows.
Persuasion check? I mean, do you?
Do you want a persuasion
If
check?
you want, I mean, yeah, as a heads up to Louisa, to everyone, I don't any PC to PC persuasion intimidation. I don't enforce any outcomes because I think it takes away player agency. But it can be fun to kind of give you a sense of how good they were at trying, and then you can role play based on that.
So I got an 18, but I still feel like nobody really believes me. I've convinced myself and persuaded myself that I'm a very good listener, but probably no one else.
If you're listening, is this something I should be here for, or is this like a kind of a you guys thing? I kind of feel like I'm kind of part of the party, but like, I'm not sure. We never really had like a formal, like, hey, Dilk's part of the party now. So like, is that?
No, just go in the corner. No, like, unless you have something to add to this conversation.
So I can like stay. I can stay then, like in the corner. That's cool. We're cool. Yeah, cool. Dilk's in the party. Yes.
Don't go far away, but maybe leave the room.
Give me anyone who wants to give me an insight check.
Dilk, it's fine. Just have a seat. Why is that?
Roll myself a d20 here. Okay, Dilk is crushed. Absolutely crushed.
Yeah. So and Harold came in right after that. Hey, so
yeah. Like Dilk, he gets it. He's just like, okay, no, it's it's cool. Yeah, I get it. He just walks away.
Where was I? Right. So yes, I do hear you, and I do understand that you'd like to have like a little rest. Like I feel like 300 years is probably a good chunk of time to have a rest. But if you maybe don't help us, the mortals might be in danger.
That would be their choice. After what they did.
who was the child you were
maybe-
protecting, Helm?
I do not know if this child is even still alive anymore. They were on the edge of a diverging path, and I was trying to make sure that they didn't go down the wrong one.
A human child?
Out of character, Koi. Yes, no. Yes. A
What
human child.
was the child's name?
There's a long sigh. I doubt they even exist on this plane anymore, but the name was Nere.
Does that name ring any bells?
Yeah.
Rings bells to the. I should ring bells to the players. In
Yeah.
terms of the characters,
Where did we?
I'll do.
that-
I'll give
Hold on.
anyone can justify
That was
like
one of
how they talked
that
about.
was one of the
Dildos.
characters that we played on that one-off session, right?
Yes. It is.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And also, anyone can give
And
me
was it
either.
Was it Bubo's mentor?
Correct.
Okay.
Because that was also conjured. Actually,
Harold is
yeah.
trying to calm down Dilk and keep him around. Does Dilk respond to the name Nere?
Yeah.
Yeah, he should because he was in the party.
Fully.
Before he disappeared.
Yeah. Dilk fully notices it. At this point, though, he's like, he feels like he's been told he's not allowed in, so he's like trying to keep it to himself and like not make a big deal out of it.
Dilk? Who? Do you know who Neri was, Dilk?
Am I allowed? Like, you want me
You're
to?
allowed to speak, Dilk. Dilk, look, got off on the wrong foot because we thought you were trying to kill us. And then, when the big dragon attacked us, ran away. But we're willing to work through that, but you need to give us time. Okay?
You worked with an aboleth. We saved you from a time slip.
We're willing to work through it, but you need to give us time. Never.
Yeah.
We're trusting you. Can you trust us and tell us about Neri?
Dilk looks up and like turns to the party, and you realize he's been only face to face with Harold this whole time. But as he kind of looks up and to the rest of the party, he like wipes some tears that he's been like quietly crying. Like, yeah, Neri's pretty badass, dudes. No, Neri was he was made a big name for himself in the war. He ended up actually joining us as a representative from Kerr, which is kind of weird.
Quick game check here before you get into your story. Is he speaking loud enough that Helm can hear?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Elric would be checking it to make sure this is being passed on. We go on.
Oh yeah, you're all in this. He's definitely speaking to everyone for sure. He fought on our side. He like looks apologetically to Helm, as in like you know, like our side. But
I really don't. Please spell it out for me.
Okay. Looks to Harold. It's really big, right? It's not just me. Like, it's really big. Okay. So I'm gonna roll for a memory here, and that's gonna be okay. There's a lot of stories about Neri. Not quite sure what's real or not. When I disappeared into the Fey realm, that was hundreds of years, even just from my perspective, and that was already something 19, 20 some years after the war ended. I mean, I never met him before that mission. He was a scary dude. He didn't talk much.
What did you mean by our side?
Well, all right. I don't know if this is true, but what I heard was that he used to be a cleric, and he left the order to fight with the rest of the mortals, with us. And after the war, he just kind of disappeared. And some people thought maybe he died, or maybe people finally killed him because, he was a traitor. I don't know, but he showed up from the mountains of Kerr, where he had obviously been hiding out doing something, and they sent him as a representative. I know he wielded something. It was some sort of morning star. I don't know. It didn't feel magical. It felt celestial. I don't know if he was holding on to it because he missed it or because he was trying to prove that I don't know. He had a connection to it. But yeah, he used to. They say he was on his way to be the head abbot at the cleric's tower. It was a big move when he joined our side. A lot of others came with him.
Helm kind of takes that in and stands up and starts kind of slowly pacing the room, maybe slightly more carefully than he was before.
I never felt comfortable around him. He was a scary dude.
Dilk.
Out of character, has Bubo told anyone in the party their backstory? Because I don't want to do that table talk thing of like, oh yeah, he must have told me about his mentor thing sometime. But I don't think he ever engaged in that kind of fireside chat.
It's a good question.
So
It's one of those things where like,
The only other time that we might have heard the name as a party is when the leader of the dragons was screaming it down at Bubo during the
True.
fight. So anybody that was around, so I guess it'd be Arlie or me would have had a chance. Well, actually, it depends on when that happened in the fight, because you might have been on the back of that other dragon when that happened too. That's your. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly when that happened in the game fight, but we definitely heard that whole.
I'm just gonna do, because we don't have Lindsay here, unfortunately. I'm gonna do a strict luck check. So 1 to 10, hadn't heard it before. 11 to 12, 11 to 20, someone has. So I rolled a 3. So that means that Bubo hadn't told anyone about him, but that, as Sean was saying, you did hear the yelling of that leader of that dragon squadron, who was talking about Dilk, who was calling Bubo another apprentice, and that that they were going to take Bubo to meet their master.
I didn't hear that.
Whoever had been close enough would have heard that.
I've heard it.
I would have heard it, and Arlie would have heard it.
Looks like
So, as all this is starting to spill out, is there a stopping point? Because Aelric's kind of sitting on this information. He's not, I mean, he's trying to.
It's Dilk. Just interrupt him.
Okay. Aelric just steps in front of. He just steps in front of Dilk and just addresses the party. Right. I know this name now. The Dragon Leader. The Dragon Leader called to Bubo using this name. They're connected by this name. The Dragon Leader and Bubo.
no, I don't like that.
They're
I don't like
mentors.
this. I don't like you. I point at Dilk. I looked at it earlier. This is all your fault. I don't want any.
What did the dragon leader say?
It was hard to hear it all because of the battle, but something to the effect that it's good to fight another of his proteges, or something to that effect.
Protege?
Referring to Bubo.
It was 350 years ago. What?
I don't know
Was he
anything
an elf?
about the I don't know
No,
anything about the
he's-
Dragon Rider.
Dilk's still here. Your angry teacher's still here.
Well, she's a half elf, and Dilk was
Yeah.
trapped in Versailles for Dilk, subjective time. How many years do you think you were trapped in there?
Oh, I think it was longer. Like,
Helm.
they had to learn stonework and architecture.
Helm.
Harley, did you hear any of this? And do you have anything to add?
Yes, I remember she was yelling at him and taunting him, talking about how, like, oh, he understands, like, how he's going to fight because they both had the same teacher. So, like, there was something like that. I didn't catch the name, though. But Helm, how old was this mortal when you stopped being around them?
You said child. Do you mean baby? Or child?
No. 15.
Did you leave them, or did they leave you?
Who can really say? I was trying to follow his trail, and the next thing I knew, I was trapped.
Why were you protecting the child? From what?
They were going down a dangerous path with some unseemly folk, and I wanted to make sure that the future would be brighter for them.
The math. Joke.
Yo.
Were all of the gods contained at the same time?
I mean, close enough.
When during the war, did the war immediately end as soon as the gods were contained?
Well, I never visited the Gnomish homelands, but they said it was a beautiful place, very lush, and from what I've gathered in the couple days, we've been apart. When I teleported with Jezebel back here, it seems like whatever happened to this land happened at the end of the war. It's so long ago.
But what could have stopped Helm? If Helm doesn't remember anything when he's still a child, but you know him after the Cataclysm as an old man or an older man, and he switched sides, something.
Well, I mean, I don't know how old he was. He was somewhere between a grown-up and an old man. He was rugged. I don't know if he was 28 or 45.
Arlie, could you send a message to Wyham?
Wait. When you say that out loud, Elric has this brainstorm moment. It's so... It doesn't happen very often. Wait. Can you message Bubo?
Yes. I do have sending prepared, yes.
Are we gonna call Lindsay and be like, Lindsay, what's up? You're being messaged. Come on, we need 25 words.
You're gonna have to play him,
I
but
mean, theoretically, I think he needs to be conscious, though.
pocket it. I'm gonna use Harold's term. I think Harold, you have some term or maybe it's Thad. Somebody has said that at some point.
Nice.
Go ahead, Thad.
Well, it seems now, Helm, what more proof do you need that your path is to ours? Because we can ask a question to somebody who is still alive that knows and traveled with the man that you were with, who traveled. Dilk, Wyham.
Wyham's
He
alive?
would know the answers to some of Helm's questions, yes?
I mean, she knows everything. Remember, Wyhan is deeply in love. Or, sorry, Dilk is deeply in love with Wyhan.
I don't want to think about it. It's gross.
He's bad at hiding it.
But I turn back to Helm. What, did we have 25 words? Any question for a companion about the child that you were looking for, and please accompany us.
Can I make people roll persuasion?
Go for it, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not persuasive.
I'd say the highest roll makes the pitch.
I can
Yeah,
make.
okay.
I mean, I don't have persuasion. I have a little, but I have intimidation. That's my biggie. I have intimidation all day long.
What's my intimidation?
If you want to try intimidating, I mean, there's
not
sometimes
saying-
a
no, I have-
cost.
I know. I have
I'm
persuasion.
gonna use a luck.
Okay, sick. Luck point. It's 14 from that. 6, 14. Rerolled it, got a 27. Harold, 27. Social rogue. Elric 10. Try.
Yeah.
Please. Elric's persuasion is just, please.
You know you want it.
Helm stops pacing. 25 words and one other condition. This has not been a nice journey back to this realm of existence, so once I am done with you, you will find a way to put me back to sleep.
We always
Yeah.
do.
Yep. Promise that. We'll promise that.
You can demand a check, Helm, if you want. Or you could do like an insight check if you want, Helm.
Sure.
I mean, we are all definitely telling the truth.
Ulrich just like stands in front of
So
us.
convincing.
Well, I mean, so this is a good question, though. We roll an insight check, Helm, and then because I think the thing that there is a level of truth that everyone's telling, but there is a certain
How do I
amount
get
of
to my character?
agency. I'll pull your character on here just to make it easier for you to access. Sorry. Boom. There you go. I think what is unsaid right now is the amount of agency or capacity that the party may or may not have to do what they're promising.
Normal roll. 19.
19. Okay. So this is going to be a deception check for the party. Straight deception check.
Oh no.
Arlie. Nice. 23 by Arlie, 9 by Thad. I think Harold's just standing mute. And Elric 9.
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh,
don't
good.
think
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna start rolling dice manually, man. I don't
Go for
ever
it.
roll well. No, it's so terrible, man.
I'm happy to have people roll manually.
You know,
It's
okay.
totally cool.
I'm
You
just gonna
can't punish
go,
the
you know what?
online rolls, you know.
Yeah. So
What,
there's a
Helm? I'll be completely honest with you. All the Legion, all the gods that have inhabited Legion so far, stuck around for a couple days before the construct has sucked them back in, put them back to sleep, all on its own. So I can't promise you that we can do that for you, but it'll happen.
2 weeks tops.
Just can't tell you when.
In
A
the-
few hours sometimes.
And if the past is any indicator, it'll be at the very absolute worst time for us. So you can savor that as well.
In that case, let me change my conditions. 25 words, and you will try to put me back. I will give you a maximum of 3 days, but whether I am back into the jewel, or back to sleep, or not, I will no longer help you once the 3 days are up.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't think that Helm shakes on it, so he picks like an arbitrary part of the room to break off and like throws it on the ground as like a seal the deal.
love it.
I cast mending on it and then do the same thing.
Thad needs a little bit more leverage to break it off, but yeah, I think you could accomplish it eventually.
Elric turns around to Dilk and taps him on the shoulder.
Hey, big guy.
Like that's about as much of a camaraderie thing as he's going to get at this point. But
Cool.
nice little offer there.
Those claws are sharp. Cool. Anytime, big guy.
Do you have your question for Wyhan?
Oh. Is there something that they need to ask now, or is it going to be asked later?
If you can think, Helm, if you'll help us, you can take as much time as you want to format your question.
You can ask it on the road.
I'm still taking time to learn about what has happened in the interim, so I will take some time to formulate my question.
Do we want to just send a message to Wyhan right now, letting her know that a question, or should we just keep radio silence?
It's really cute how much she scares you. You know that? I think we just sit on this for now, Pat.
Yeah, I like that. And it's not cute. Someday your magical ability will allow you to properly see the magical potential in all things, and she is terrifying.
I don't know what you're talking about, Pat. I can't do magic.
Right. So,
Shall we?
Yeah, let's get everything in order then.
Let's get on the road.
It's time for a skill check. They're gonna do a skill check. Gonna move across the map with skill check. Yeah, fuck
Oh,
yeah.
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. So we're getting to a little bit of a skill check. We don't have a long skill check, but it looks like we're going to do some skill check. Epic travel music. Okay, so we don't have a very long distance to travel, but my little skill check mini game, includes time. And we have just introduced a 3-day timeline from Helm. So that is a part of this. How it goes is we kind of, just to try to, every time I explain this, it'll get easier. So let me try to explain it. Every hex you move, someone is going to roll a skill check. It is a DC 16 in the Northern Wastes. Once you succeed or fail, you can move one hex in any direction. That takes 1/3 of a day, about 8 hours. If you fail, you can still move. 3 failures during a single skill challenge, and there is a major repercussion. That is a failed challenge. If you fail, but you want to mitigate that failure, you can expend a consumable resource, for example, a spell, to mitigate narratively that failure, but you cannot move hexes in the mitigation. Finally, you can decide to march on, and move 2 hexes in a single shift, but that causes an exhaustion save, like a constitution save, to prevent gaining a point of exhaustion. We are using 1 D&D, the upcoming new version, 6th edition, where points of exhaustion are not some like weird, every little point is strange and makes no sense, and then you die at 6. What we do is that each point of exhaustion is -1 to all D20 rolls. So you can get quite a lot of them, but they start really stacking up the more you get them. I think that's enough for now. There are some more like little rules, but I don't want to overburden our decision. For the purpose of this journey, the party is traveling with Cudgel and her group with some light cavalry, and Dilk is coming along. Are you all going to be riding? Are you all mounted? In which case the light cavalry will be like slightly below full strength, but everyone is mounted, or are you going to be like marching with this light cav at full strength? Just a question.
I don't know if Helm can mount something. That seems like a lot of load to bear.
Probably not. That's a good point.
Also, Cudgel's people are coming with us too, so
Yeah.
we're walking.
We
Cool.
have some foot troops, so
Amazing.
we're gonna have to march anyway.
So as you're preparing to leave the Ethereal Dread, the captain Keldanus meets you on the deck. for anyone who knows orcs in any way, this is a sign of affection. For anyone who doesn't recognize orcs, it looks like she wants to eat Harold. But she comes up and says to Harold, "Before you leave, possibly you'd like to equip yourself with some of the armaments that we keep on board."
Out of character, I can't really get a better AC than I already have, and my gear is already optimized. So.
Yeah. So basically, this will be this is a moment where, for example, and in travel challenges, you can spend one day shift, like a third of a day, to do something. For example, if you want to like fully prepare to leave, like prepare rations. Or, for example, like rework Aelric's armor, that would take a shift. Now that's just gonna be like an auto success at camp. You don't have to roll anything. It's just gonna be a time cost. But it would be something like you could make sure the rations are there. Otherwise, if you're trying to rush out, you can fully rush out, but you're not gonna be bringing with you like enough stuff to necessarily camp out. If that makes sense. You're muted there, Sam.
I
think we
should
should-
get there in a day. So we
Yeah,
should
no, I think
go.
we take the morning to get our stuff together for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So on that first day, Aelric and Thad, I assume, are going to go down, work in the forge and reshape that plate armor. I don't know if it's plate or half plate. You're muted there, Sean, so I can't hear you.
Full plate. I
Full
believe.
plate. Cool. Just as a reminder for all of our audience, as we all just leveled up to level 8, Aelric has sprouted some very large dragon wings and requires reforming his plate so that he can wear it properly. Mechanically, there is no... I'm not giving a disadvantage. I know that rules is written. There's certain disadvantages to the wings. Suck it, this is my game. So you're going to spend the morning doing that, Aelric. You also have already Smith's tools. You have a background in that, so that's something that you're going to just be spending time in. Thad, you can help if you want and assist. We're at camp. We're at like a very specialized location. I'm not going to... It's just a time sink at this point. Everyone else is able to like get groups together. You're able to get enough rations, not necessarily for like a large trek, but like, you know, this is a military thing. Everyone's getting like all of the arrows they need, all of the javelins and whatever they need or whatever. You're getting enough, you know, like rations for a day or two because you never know. So in this way, like you are prepared to go on a little small expedition. If there's anything anyone else would like to do during this morning, you can let me know.
So while he's working the forge and getting his armor up, I am going to use my new ability. Hold on. Sorry. I'm going to give his armor and my robes some magical abilities.
Oh, right, because we have an artificer here.
Yep.
Crap.
So as he's working it, I've pocketed a couple of Rooker Dusts, the gnome's tools. Like I just like the simple things that I need. And as he's working, first I sort of like weave some pure magic into like. First, I'm like knitting the magic sort of together with the tools, and then I sort of pantomime like in a movie scene, it would be like as his hammer goes down, like I'm sort of pantomiming in the air, and as he's weaving into it, I'm putting these plates of pure magic in, and he has enhanced defense, which is a +1 bonus to his armor class.
Shoot, that's for Aelric's armor or whose armor?
Yeah. Yep. And then I get two. I can have 2 of these going at any time, and sort of as there's like a last little spool, I like sort of weave out some of the end of the magic. And into my cloak, I put a Mind Sharpener. And now if I fail a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration on a spell, I can use a reaction and succeed instead. And I get 4 charges, and every morning I roll 1d4 and get back that many.
Damn, that is crazy powerful. Anything else that you'd like to make?
Nope.
Cool. Sick. Arlie.
+1 AC bonus now.
+1. So Aelric gets +1 in AC. For now, just like track it. We'll work on it in the back end between. I'll do more between sessions. You get Mind Sharpener for yourself. Arlie, is there anything you'd like to do?
I don't want to go have a conversation with Arlik about his like new big wings.
Yeah.
I don't have like a full narrative involved, but just being like, wow, those really came in. They're like quite large now. Like, do they still like hurt?
No. They feel. I don't feel them at all. In the same way that I don't feel my arms unless I'm thinking of them or anything else. They fold when I come into closed rooms. It's all that I don't know how to put it into words.
Well, I'm just kind of glad that they didn't end up being like comically small.
Me too.
Callback.
Me too.
Amazing. Helm, is there anything you'd like to do during we break each shift into 8 hours, so it's like, it's enough time to do kind of anything. Is there anything that stands out during this morning?
I think so. I mean, I think Helm is still so much in that dropped in this. I'm not born yesterday, but might as well have been. So I think Helm's just kind of observing.
I have a question for Helm. How does Helm get back onto land? Is because as a Warforged and an excessively large Warforged, one thing that I was thinking is Helm could just step off the ship and just walk onto shore.
Yeah, I think that is what I was picturing.
Nice, nice. Yeah, just all right, I'll see you on shore. Just step off the, and then in an hour or so, just comes up on the shore.
Yeah, we're getting down and dirty, not very.
Love it.
Spend some alone time, we can't ask you questions or annoy you, or you can chill under the sea.
That shouldn't have
the
taken
bottom
so
of the ocean's a very peaceful place to be.
Nice. Harold, is there anything that you're doing? This is also and for everyone, this is we're counting camp as just a fully stocked military. Any mundane armors or weapons are available.
No, Harold's just relaxing.
Cool. Are you?
Aelric gets a rope. I still haven't recovered my rope from that time
From
that I
that
chopped
rope
it
trick.
up to take care of. Yeah.
Oh, to
No,
build
that
the.
was to find myself, to keep myself from.
Right. Yeah. When the aboleth was taking over everyone's minds.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Harold makes small talk with Dilk.
Cool. Okay, building a relationship with Dilk. Love it. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Does he think you're building a relationship with him? Do you want to roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he thinks I'm building a relationship with him.
Roll straight charisma for me. Oh my God! Oh yeah, Arlie snatches the library cat just as Helm is just walking off the ship. Dirty 20. Dilk is he's one of those. It's one of those weird relationships where he would call you his good friend. Yeah, we're getting to that point with Dilk. Cool. And as you are all finally prepared, got your stuff together, you are now at the head of, I think it's 25 horses or so in the small cavalry, and Cudgel's group is about a dozen. I think it's a score, or it's 12 or 18, but they're informal mercenary units, so they're in groups of 3 or 6 or something like that. Whereas the Cav are contingent. Dilk is there with you. As you're about ready to go, Rukeldust comes running up to you and just saying,
Before you go, you must wait. This is something I've been working on in just my spare time, because I know it is very difficult for you to stay in communication. You do not talk, okay? So I have worked on the far gab. Yes, it was so big. I think it might be a problem for the little people to talk. So I have done this. I tried. It is still a prototype, but give it a try, see how it goes. Do the come si dice, the field test. Yes, and she gives you each a armband, like a bracer. Which operates like an old school, like Dick Tracy style communication bracelet that you can communicate with each other. Now, this is not as far range as the Fargab, so it will not reach outside of a single hex, but within a single hex, you can all communicate even outside of line of sight. But it's like a speaker system, so it's like it's going to be hard to like stay hidden if someone's talking because it's as if they're talking next to you.
How loud is it?
Yeah.
Is there a volume control on it?
There is no volume control. That might be the first note you might want to give Rukeldust for the future. And with that, you're gonna start your travel journey. So the way we do it is we roll, then we move, as I said. So who wants to? We used the term last is like taking point. Basically, to say like who goes first, but that's just an informal thing. Who wants to roll their skill first?
There's a bunch of dogs, and Harold uses his stealth to help choose a route for like. What is it, 100 people? So the dogs don't know stuff.
Okay, let's see if we can do better than that. Or if you want to use stealth, I'm gonna give you that'll be +3, so it'll be DC 19.
Okay.
Because of
the situation.
because of your additional all these forces that you brought with you that work against your stealth.
Okay. Okay.
Could you use stealth to lead the dogs off on like a different trail and double back to us?
That's a cool idea.
That would be animal handling.
Mm.
No, I think I can see that. I think what he's basically saying is like the stealth isn't the leading the dogs. The stealth is losing the dogs and doubling back to the group. So you basically become Harold just is like, oh, there's something. I'll do it, guys. It just walks out and be like, hey, dogs. And they're like, Mrr? And you're like, oh, shit. And then you just have to run and like somehow stay away from them and then hide. And then you have to somehow like get them so that they lose your track and then come back to the group. That would be stealth for sure.
Okay. What's the DC on that?
That'll be 16.
I cast guidance on Harold as he runs, or like I tap him with guidance as he
Nat
goes.
20.
It's
Nat
fine.
20,
I
which
got a
is
nat
a
20,
which is
so
a
it's
dirty 30. Harold, I want to hear like what it goes like. What's the decision when like you see this and decide to go, and then when you come back?
Harold is sitting, is walking, and the Fargab has been on Aelric's shoulders the whole time, and this gnome has just been non-stop talking through the Fargab, and we can't turn the volume down, and no one explained how to turn it off other than by just breaking it, and so he sees these dogs as just like, oh, finally. And so he kind of, taps Aelric like the hip, and I'll be right back. And puts up a rock and just hucks it at the dogs, and then just takes off at a run.
What's awesome as well is that like as the confidence that Harold had with like after throwing this rock, as all these dogs turn to Harold, realize that like all their faces are just
emptied of flesh and is just full bone heads as these kind of like undead dog beasts that are somehow able to growl through bone teeth. They chase you for quite a bit. Harold's gone for a bit, but the way is cleared. The party moves forward. At a certain point in the afternoon, Harold just kind of saunters back. Amazing. So, Harold, you get to choose which direction you move. I assume you're moving just straight towards our point of interest.
Oops,
Oh my god.
I moved all of them.
Okay.
Move the one, you move the many.
Yeah, when I select the party, I can't. I'm selecting all of them right now.
Okay.
I don't know
I'm gonna
how
take
to-
away. I'm gonna take away people's control, because this is amazing.
Okay.
Okay, someone did it. Amazing.
I did it. So all you have to do is draw a box around it with your mouse. Draw a box around the token that you want to move, and that'll separate it.
Yep.
Okay,
The
so
man is correct.
so because you spent the morning shift prepping, leaving, having your war council, the afternoon shift you headed out around noon. So as we get to this second, as we are here, the sun is starting to set. It is like getting to twilight. At this point, you could choose to keep going. You could press ahead, which would cause a Constitution save. You could just press on through the night, which would not require a Constitution save, but it would mean that you're not sleeping or taking a rest. Up to you guys as a party. And I think it'd be nice if our guest was able to roll next.
I'm cool with the Constitution saving throw, but if people want to,
We don't need to rest for anything.
that's true.
I mean, it's up to you. I don't care. Either way, I have a good constitution. So.
I'm gonna leave this to Helm's decision, basically. So Helm,
I
you
think
can.
that this is
yeah.
more. Yeah, I would say that I would like to use this check in a. I would say narratively, it is not necessarily that something Helm is actively doing. I would like to use intimidation, and I think
Oh.
that is the fact that Helm is very large and very grumbly and very upset. And is really like, let's just move on with this because I am reluctantly on this adventure to begin with.
love
And so
that.
I don't think that they're actively like, come on, everyone, but that energy is kind of emanating for everyone to be like, we better press forward.
Yeah. It's like anyone's like, so I guess now would be the time to. We're gonna go. We're gonna keep going. Now's the time to keep going. That's a good as like the clomp just like next to these. I think the horses are getting. They're not tired. We're fine. We're good. We're gonna keep moving.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So give me an intimidation DC 16.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Strong success with an 18 there. Well done. Okay, that means you get to move that next hex, which is going to take you to our point of interest. As you...
Someone please move this for me.
Yeah, we're all terrified, and I'm like lagging, so thank you, Elric.
Thank you.
As you move through the night, you travel towards this point of interest. You were given this compass by Rukeldust that she claimed would be able to point you in the right direction. Because remember, these are still 6-mile diameter hexes. But with that
compass is in Harold's hand, by the way. That compass is in Harold's hands.
Totally, yeah. I trust no one but you, Harold. Only you. It is because we share this
Actually,
connection.
because it's a gnome, it would have been.
yeah, the one person you're looking down at. It is this connection that we share. It is something I'd feel deep, come si dice, alla famiglia. And you find yourselves at the point where the compass starts to spin. It is mostly desert, but there is the kind of upper point out of the sand of some sort of buried artifact or what would it be called? it's like a structure, let's say. It's not like a house or something, but some sort of arcane structure. And as
Like a
you
ruin of some sort?
yeah, it's
Like a ruin?
at first it seems like a ruin, but as you get closer, it seems to be like intact, just kind of covered in sand over time. But potentially 20, 30 feet tall. All that sits above the sand at this point is like 7 feet. But it's like almost like as if an obelisk has been covered in sand and just like the tip is remaining. Covered in some arcane runes and untouched by the elements, clearly of arcane origin. And as you guys close in on it and this compass starts spinning, out of the sand, a large creature bursts forth, and you see the hulking form of a clay golem. And with that, we are going to end our session for today because we are at 10:13. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. We're going to come back with this small little encounter. Thank you, Louisa, for joining us today. Do you have anything that you want to plug coming up, or things that you're, I don't know, pluggables?
Things coming up. It's just, I have a theater show in the fall, so I'm not going to plug that. But I read a lot of audiobooks, so if you are in the market to like pick up a new audiobook, check some of them out. You can just type my name in to anywhere you get your audiobooks to see some titles I've narrated.
Amazing. Cool. Thank you.
Hooray.
And to our players, do we have anything we want to plug? Because, sometimes we're doing stuff, in the background.
Not
Anything we're allowed to plug. Amazing. And thank you, everyone who watched, everyone who jumped on in the chat for joining us. Squeakmar was suspiciously quiet this week, but, he was hopped up on coffee. Our sessions wouldn't be the same without all of you, and because in this game, you aren't just the audience, you are Legion. Once again, our players today were Alberta Johnson, Michael Keane, Sam Gilroy, Sean Boyd. My name is Nicholas Coy-Santillo. Join us next week as we will continue to weave this epic tale.
You forgot.
Who did I forget? And Louisa Zhu. And Louisa Zhu. Okay, bye.